Everyone says South Surrey and White Rock are super dog friendly, and overall, that's true. But the reality is, it's a lot more nuanced than people think. If you're moving here with a dog, or you already live here and you're trying to figure out which spots are actually worth visiting or using, there are a few things that can really shape your experience. Some areas are amazing if you want off-leash space, trails, or room for your dog to burn energy. Other areas, they look perfect on the internet, especially when you're near the water, but they come with some rules, way more rules and limitations than people expect. Now, not only that, but in today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about the vibe of dogs in the neighborhood of South Surrey and White Rock generally. So if you've got a dog and you're looking at South Surrey or White Rock or Crescent Beach, this is exactly what you need to know. This, by the way, is Grizz.
You only get one chance to buy or sell your next home. Let's get it right.
Hey, worth mentioning, my name's Darren, a real estate professional based right here in White Rock and the South Surrey area. And I've been helping families buy and sell homes here since all the way back to 2007. And since then, I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people over the years, many of whom met me right here on this very YouTube channel. So if you're seriously thinking about making a move and want some smart local advice with zero pressure, just real insight, there's a link in the description of this video to book a time with me or my team. And together, we'll help make sure you make the right move with confidence. Okay, so at the big picture level, this area is a strong contender for dog owners because you do have a ton of variety. There are enclosed areas, there are off-leash areas, there are trails galore, and there are some good day-to-day conveniences all around the neighborhoods for shopping for your dog and whatnot. And if you've got a younger dog, a smaller dog, or one that's still working on recall, the enclosed option parks here are really a nice starting point. You've got places like Ruth Johnson Park, Wills Brook, and the smaller enclosed setup near Crescent Beach. They can all be part of the mix. But for most people, the real draw here is the larger off-leash spaces. And that's where Dogwood Park, my personal favorite, and I know many people share that same sentiment, really stands out. Dogwood is one of those places that people keep coming back to because it gives you more than just a fenced patch of grass. It's at the 13400 block of 20th Avenue. It runs from dawn to dusk, and it combines open off-leash space with forested trails that connect into the larger greenbelt around Sunnyside Acres. So you're not just standing in one spot while your dog circles around you. You can actually walk and explore and give your dog a much more interesting outing. The main access comes off 20th Avenue, and there's a gravel parking area there. Now, one thing that some people really love about this particular park is there's also a separate enclosed small dog area, which makes it a lot more flexible depending on your dog's size and confidence level. That's why Dogwood is such a go-to for people with bigger dogs as well, high energy dogs, or dogs that need more than just a quick bathroom break. It feels more like a proper dog outing than just a basic park stop. You've got the open area for running, the wooded paths for sniffing and decompression, and enough space that it doesn't feel nearly as cramped as some of the waterfront walks that we're going to talk about in a moment. Now, many will tell you this is the top, if not the best, dog park in the entire Lower Mainland. In second spot, or maybe first, depending on the type of day you're looking for, you got Blackie Spit, and that's a completely different kind of asset. Blackie Spit is huge for dog owners because it has two designated off-leash areas, and most importantly, it has the only off-leash swim area for dogs in the entire city of Surrey. That matters because one of the biggest assumptions that people make when they move to the peninsula here is that living so close to the ocean automatically means easy water access for dogs. And in reality, that is not true in most places. At Blackie Spit, as an example, there's a main off-leash area. Then at the north end, there is the fenced dog swim area where you can use when the tide is in. So for water-loving dogs, this is one of the most valuable spots in the entire area. It also gives you a different experience from Dogwood. Dogwood is more forest, field, and movement. Blackie Spit gives you that beach energy, open sky, and the ability for your dog to actually get in the water. There's also a covered shelter in the main off-leash area, which is helpful in those typical rainy days that we have here. But the rules, and some of them I kind of alluded to a little bit earlier, they matter here. Let's talk Blackie Spit to start. Dogs need to be leashed when you're traveling between the main off-leash area and the swim area, and the environmentally sensitive area around the spit is protected. The nature trail is about 5 kilometers, but no dogs are allowed in the environmentally sensitive section because it protects migratory birds and other sensitive habitat. And that brings us to a part that a lot of people get wrong when they think about Crescent Beach and White Rock. They look like dream locations for dog owners because you picture beach walks, waterfront living, and your dog swimming all the time. But the rules are a huge part of the story here. Starting with White Rock, the waterfront is much stricter than a lot of people expect. On the Promenade, as an example, leash dogs are only allowed between 5:30 a.m. and 9 a.m. between April 1st and September 30th. Now, from October 1st to March 31st, kind of those more wintry months, leash dogs are allowed on the promenade all day. Dogs are not allowed, however, on the pier at any time. And on the beach itself, similar to what we talked about Crescent Beach, dogs are allowed year-round, but only if they're on a leash shorter than 2 meters. There is no off-leash zone on White Rock Beach. The beach, just like Crescent Beach, falls under provincial jurisdiction as part of the Boundary Bay Wildlife Management Area. This is why the rules are tighter than some people might assume. So that's the disconnect for a lot of people. White Rock feels like this should be this perfect seaside dog escape and lifestyle. But if your dream is letting your dog run, swim, and roam freely by the water, White Rock really isn't all that. Now, that said, do people let their dogs off leash on the beach? Well, of course they do. You absolutely see dogs running around enjoying the tide pools and the ocean, but just be warned that they're really not supposed to be doing that. The whole area is much better structured for on-leash walks, especially in the off-season or during the early morning summer window. Okay, real quick, if you're even thinking about buying a home, whether it's in the areas that me and my real estate team serve of White Rock, South Surrey, Surrey, or any of the surrounding municipalities, it could be anywhere in BC for that matter, you're going to want to be sure to grab a copy of our free PDF, 21 grants and rebates for home buyers just like you. We pulled together every program that we could find, federal, provincial, and even niche local ones, plus tips, links, and quick ways to save. These are often hard to find, buried, and made way too confusing. So we've sourced them out and put them in one single spot for you to take full advantage. It's totally free and could save you thousands. So you can get it now by using the link below in the description. Now, back to our video. So we talked White Rock. Crescent Beach is a little more flexible. Of course, it has this off-leash area where the dogs can go right into the ocean, but it still does have a structure to it. Being part of Surrey rather than White Rock, Surrey changed the rules. So leash dogs are now welcome along Crescent Beach's main walking path year-round, with summer access from May 15th to summer 15th, limited to weekdays and excluding statutory holidays. And even there, dogs are still prohibited, as I mentioned earlier, in the Blackie Spit environmentally sensitive area, with off-leash activity only allowed in the designated off-leash inland and beach areas at Blackie Spit. So Crescent Beach does give dog owners more breathing room than White Rock, but it's still important to know exactly where the dog-friendly access actually is. The other piece that's worth mentioning for this video is the culture of dogs in White Rock, especially in White Rock. One thing that people notice pretty quickly is that White Rock has a very visible small dog culture. You see a lot of people out walking smaller dogs, socializing, stopping and chatting, and for some owners, that's a really big plus. It feels active and community-oriented. But if you have a larger dog or a younger dog or a dog that's still working through excitement or reactivity, the experience can feel a little bit different. Not necessarily hostile, not necessarily unfriendly, but just a little more compressed and a little more sensitive. So depending on your dog's size, temperament, and training, you may naturally feel more comfortable in places like Dogwood or Blackie Spit than on the White Rock waterfront. That's really the main takeaway. South Surrey and White Rock can be excellent for dog owners, but not in one simple blanket way. If you want enclosed options, you have them. If you want serious off-leash space, Dogwood is a major asset. If your dog loves the water, Blackie Spit is one of the most important spots to know about because it gives you that off-leash dog swim area in Surrey, the only one that exists. And if you live White Rock for the waterfront lifestyle, just go in understanding that it's much more about leashed walking than free beach access. So overall, yes, this is a dog-friendly area, but the best fit really depends on your dog and your lifestyle. If your dog needs room to run, water, and a low-pressure environment, you'll probably gravitate towards Dogwood, Blackie Spit, and the trail systems around South Surrey in either Sunnyside Urban Acres or Crescent Park. If you're more into scenic walks, convenience, and a social waterfront atmosphere, White Rock can still be great as long as you understand the rules before you build your routine around it. And if you're someone that has a dog and is thinking of relocating to the area, you're probably a little curious about some of the best neighborhoods to live. Well, the good news is we break down the absolute best areas, the most sought after areas in the entire community in the video coming up next. It's definitely one you're not going to want to miss because I can guarantee there's at least one area in that video that was not on your radar. So the good news is that that video is coming up right now. You want to know where the best neighborhoods in South Surrey and White Rock are to live? Well, if that's the case, this is definitely the video for you.